So, kind of bypassing a little more of this idea for a specific chart for people, um, can you gauge the course of humanity, or maybe even the Earth in her um, evolution, astrologically speaking?
We don't have a birth time for Earth. Remember, I said an astrology chart is a snapshot of the beginning moment of the person or the thing. You can read anything. You can read your car. You can read your country. Uh, if you know where in time and space that thing came into being. If we knew where in time and space Earth came into being, yeah, we could read the whole evolution of Earth.
Well, what about the cycles of the zodiac?
So science, as it's known and practiced, is Earth-centered. Everything begins relative to the horizon. The point on the eastern horizon where the sun is first visible in the morning, the east point, that's the rising sign or the rising degree. That marks 0 degrees of Aries. And the 360-degree circle is marked off in 30-degree increments after that. That's the system that the Greeks set up, 12 equal signs of 30 degrees. Actually, there's a more ancient zodiac that was lunar-based, that was 13 degrees and 20 minutes, 27 signs, much more informative than what the Greeks did. So the Greeks introduced the concept of the zodiac as being tied to constellations and stars, and that's not actually the case. It's in its most ancient and useful form, all Earth-oriented. And so when you take Earth out of the picture, you've lost your point of reference. And the whole system falls apart then. And so, does that answer your question? Was that?
Well, I guess I'm getting into the what some people might know, the 25,000-year cycle that we traverse through the zodiac, the ages specifically.
Yes.
And so, is that a tool that you as an astrologer can use in understanding that we're in the age of Pisces, and as the Fifth Dimension song talked about, verging on Aquarius, dawning of the age of Aquarius.
I love the song. Fantastic music. It's very inspiring. That's about as much use as I have for it. For the reason that I said is there's no point of reference.
Okay.
To say we're now in the age of Pisces or we're now in the age of Aquarius. There's vast disagreement on whether we're 400 years into the age of Aquarius, as some people believe, or we've still got 400 years left on Pisces. There's no consensus, there's no agreement, because there's no clear reference line.
Well, somebody must have agreed in history, because we're clearly uncovering archaeological evidence of the age of Taurus, and what came after that? What was it, Capricorn? Or before that?
Well, it precesses backwards, so it would have been Aries before,
Okay, Aries.
Gemini. Would have been Gemini before that.
So there is a symbolism and even worship of these ancient symbols going back into antiquity. It- why would that be so prevalent?
I don't know what they were thinking. I only know that astrology, as I practice it and as I've learned it from various teachers in readings, that doesn't figure into it at all. The precession of the zodiac.
Okay.
There's a disagreement in astrological circles on whether to use the tropical zodiac, which is relative positionings between Sun and Earth, or the sidereal zodiac, which follows that precession of the equinoxes that you're talking about. And there's no agreement there either, because the ancient texts did not distinguish, either because to them it was not an issue, or because the alignment was so precise that there was no difference. My own feeling is that it's just not part of the astrological system. It is an interesting way of introducing a dialectic, which, is in its most adverse use, it creates two opposing viewpoints and divides the thinking between one or the other. And because it doesn't resolve, it muddies the water, and it produces an opportunity to control the outcome.
Well, that's really interesting. So, that occurred to me as you were explaining it. Is this not maybe a tool for a form of control?
Exactly. So, where I'm going with this is, if somebody introduced a concept of an age of Pisces with intent to instill certain thought forms, certain memes, prevalent beliefs to ascribe to that thing, they've got a right field to work with here. And the reason that I'm suspicious of the whole thing is because the age of Pisces, going back 2,000 years to the time of Christ, has no resemblance to the symbolisms of Pisces as I know them to be as an astrologer. So we started talking about me at the very beginning of this as a Pisces who, and as a Pisces, able to conform to any system or container, and happy if not giving any boundaries to flow everywhere. That doesn't sound like the last 2,000 years to me. We've been living in a patriarchy where an authority figure tells you the way it's going to be and is adamant and unyielding about that. And depending on, so there's been no agreement, there's been constant war. The Roman Empire and the Dark Ages, and that all came through the age of Pisces, and that's just very un-Piscean behavior.
Well, I can think of one angle that the Christian age was able to spill over: the Crusades.
Yeah, there you go.
So in a sense, it played the role of a proxy,
Yeah,
um, taking an idea and utilizing it as a technique for control. Um, well, okay, so you're saying that there's really no beginning to that, so it's far too abstract and potentially um, a tool for manipulation. What about the United States? We know there's a beginning to that entity.
there are a number of different birth charts for the United States in use. Um, the most recently discovered is the one that I have been using personally, or I've begun to use it. I don't. It's only, this is a recent development, that the case can be made that the government that we're now living under came into being on March 4, 1789. That was chosen by I'm looking for, it was the Continental Congress on September 13, 1788. Chose that date of March 4, 1789 to be the one that the newly written Constitution was to come into effect. And there is so much about that March 4, 1789 date. I mean, it's quirky. Why 6 months in advance did they choose March 4 and not a round, easily remembered number like the first day of spring or the first day of the new year?
First day of the month.
First day of the month, or the 15th day of the month, or whatever. That's how a bureaucratic mind works. That's just logical. To 6 months in advance pick March 4 poses questions. An astrologer's ear perks up.
Mm-hmm.
And to look at a chart of that day and that time, noon of March 4, 1789. Astrologically, days begin at noon. Describes what the United States became very well. Dave Rowell, who is the astrologer that first made this discovery, he says it's executive friendly and people bashing, and that's what we've got right now. Is we're living under a system that is executive friendly, and the people are getting bashed left and right, and it shows in the chart of the country as it was born at that time.